we got to be special tonight.
Very special.
Adjust the camera. There we go.
Yeah. Did you see our Twitter? If not, why did you not see our Twitter?
I just tweeted it. I mean, like...
And I subtweeted it.
Basically, so, because the All Ireland... the Ireland premiere of it took place in Derry because, you know, Derry.
Derry being it.
And
Derry.
we got... it was brought to you by Joe.ie and Eason's, the company...
Joe.ie. Is that connected with Joe.co.uk, who did the amazing Jeremy Corbyn Thor trailer?
I don't know. No, Joe.ie is like an Irish kind of like, you know, media site. It's like, you see it a lot.
Joe.co.uk is media and football.
I don't know.
Politics.
You'll have to look it up.
They might be selling.
Yeah, but anyway. But yeah, and Eason's, which is the book company that I work for, and so my boss said to us about a week and a half ago, hey, I can get you guys tickets to go see the premiere of it. Did anyone want to go? So we signed up, and there you go. And we even got a special,
I was a +1.
You were a +1. We even got a special, like, recorded message from the 4 of the child actors being like, hey, we're premiering in Derry. Our Derry is scary. We've heard that you're the Halloween capital of the world. So obviously we're reading off the teleprompters, these poor kids.
Yeah.
But then they were like, bye. And we're like...
oh, we're
bye.
special.
Yeah. Weird.
Because the Halloween capital of the world thing happens.
It's true. That's actually... That's true.
Derry has at least a couple of times, like, come top of, like, world places to be at Halloween, beating, like, Transylvania and Salem, Massachusetts.
It's just a huge festival. Just lots of drinking, fireworks, just...
It's like New Year.
Germans who burn your hot dog and then you're like, I don't want the burned one, and you have to eat the burned one.
Yeah, basically the entire city turns into a festival, giant one, probably...
The whole entire week kind of stuff.
Probably a mixture of reasoning, probably because, we don't do 4th of July, which is a traditional British, not 4th, 2nd of November. 4th of November. Early November when they burn Guy Fawkes.
Oh, it's the 5th of November.
5th, okay.
Yeah.
We don't do that in Northern Ireland because, for obvious reasons, but Halloween's nearby, and Halloween was from Samhain, the Irish
thing. It's like
thing.
an everyone kind of thing.
So Northern Ireland, so Derry sort of went, fuck it, we're going to mix all these things together. Actually, it probably, the modern version probably originated after all the American GIs coming over and bringing the American tradition of trick-or-treat around, and then it sort of just blew up, mixing all those things together.
People don't really trick-or-treat here. They just go out drinking, which is almost as good.
Yeah, it's like Derry's a perfect storm of Halloween.
So there's not a lot of candy. Like, there's some, but not as much as in American shops, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we saw it. Now, okay, full disclosure, I have not read the book. It's one of the Stephen King books that I haven't gotten around to just because of its daunting size and I have no time.
I want to see a version of it written by Steven Universe.
Stop it. And I haven't seen the original with Tim Curry. I'm sorry, Crime Me River. And you?
I have seen the TV version with Tim Curry. I have not read the book because I'm not a fan of novels. I think the only Stephen King novel I've read was The Shining. I read Running Man, but that was Richard Bachman.
I read... see, I'm really a big fan of his short stories. I've read Full Dark, No Stars, Nightmares and Dreamscapes.
That's a good TV show.
Yeah. Oh, the miniseries is really good. I was sad they didn't do one about the finger that comes up the drain.
Yeah, the sort of Outer Limits type thing. I've got that on DVD.
Let's see. The Stand, Cujo, Green Mile.
Greener.
There was a whole bunch. Oh, Hearts in Atlantis, which is really good, but I've heard the movie's shit. And some other ones that I can't remember now. A Cycle of the Werewolf was one, you know. But, so, yeah, so we got to go see it, and it was kind of close enough for Curry beforehand. And, alright, so...
We had a curry before it, but we all named our curries Tim, in honor.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Well, that was because one of the girls, it was her birthday, and so she was like, here, me and so are going out for dinner beforehand, you guys want to come? And we were like, alright. So, actually, alright, so I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was very well shot, very competently shot. I thought Pennywise was actually the weakest thing. I don't think he should have talked, because that just totally lost all the horror for me. He was like, hey friends, what's the crack? I'm the nameless horror that talks back.
Well, you'll absolutely hate the 80s, the Tim Curry one then, because...
Exposition!
Because in the Tim Curry one, which, and his entire point was not so much... He had to eat children, and he enjoyed doing that. But he was also into entertaining himself while he did it. And so he was constantly...
Did he make quippy one-liners?
Not so much quippy one-liners as occasionally bad jokes and laughing at them, and just he found the whole idea of terrifying and eating children to be fucking hilarious.
Okay. So...
Have you got Prince Albert in a can? well, you do. Well, you better let him out then. A whole scene, he's just barking laughter in the background. While this poor guy, who's the only one who can hear him, is like trying to have this conversation with someone while there's balloons that only he can see exploding, putting blood everywhere, that only he can see. And then Tim Curry in the background is like... He's trying swinging a football noisemaker and sort of just barking laughter. And this guy's trying to have a conversation with someone while trying to not seem insane because he's getting distracted by him.
That seems silly.
It was... Tim Curry's version was much sillier. This one, it was a lot less enjoying his work and was a lot more bestial.
And there weren't many famous people in it. In fact, besides Skarsgård, I can't think of anyone famous in it.
And for the first 20 minutes, I was trying to work out which of the kids in this one, because I could not remember the names of the kids, who they were in the other version. Like it was, oh, that one's Seth Green. Oh, that one's the guy from Sequest who killed himself.
The wee hypochondriac. He reminded me so much of Fred Savage.
Yeah,
I think it was a bit in the face, and I think it was the hair.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like, oh my god, he looks like Fred Savage.
And it's like, oh, the fat one. He becomes John Ritter.
I felt bad because he kind of seemed like he was like 4 years younger than everybody else.
Yeah, all the little boys in this, I thought they all basically seemed to be roughly the same age,
like
but
12.
She seemed to be older, and what do you call them? The bullies they're in Canada.
They seem to be in their 20s.
They're meant to be 15, but the girl, she did not seem to be the same age as the boys that she was hanging out with. She seemed to be like at least a year or two older.
That could be feasible.
Yeah.
You know.
They were a bit unclear on the ages.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was pretty good. It was very well shot. Some cool little camera things. Some nice little touches like the hypochondriac sport watch, because I had that same sport watch. All of my friends, we all had that same sport watch. And because you could get it for like $5 at Kmart.
A lot of the stuff that they did in this one, the set pieces, were basically energized up versions of what they did in the TV version, which could have been from the book, I suppose. Well, probably were. Like the bit with the slides. In the book, that was them in the woods looking at the big picture book of Old Derry. Mm-hmm. So they're going like that, and then they turn the pages, and you can see the scene there, and it comes to life, and Tim Curry spots them, sort of rushes over, and then he climbs a lamp pole and to get the camera, and he starts threatening them, and his arm comes out of the book and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a lot more cheap and basic.
All right. Well, one thing about this was it's kind of been updated, so took place in the 80s. And then, or the late 80s, and then I guess 27 years will be present
2016.
day. But, and that worked up until a point, because there was this one scene where they decided to go swimming at the local quarry. And they're in their underwear, the girls and the boys, and I'm like, that's not something we did. Like, first of all, when I was a kid, you did not go swimming in random quarries because you knew better.
There's some important plot stuff gets talked about in that scene, and you miss half it because you're wondering why the fuck they're in their underwear.
Yeah, like, it just really weirded me out. Like, we had bathing suits. Like, I told, like, my coworkers when we got out, I'm like, just so you guys don't think, like, I grew up in the 80s in America, and we had bathing suits. I had, like, about 2 or 3. You know, you'd, like, have a rotation, because you have to use the special detergent that gets out chlorine. So you'd have, like, one that was in the wash and one that was...
So, I
went swimming, okay? It happened.
Yeah, that bit probably should be updated because it's just distracting.
Like, just give them swim trunks. I'm like, give the girl a bathing suit. Like, why is this... I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been in Maine in the summer. Is that roughly the sort of summeriness? It seems to be a bit warm for New England. Well,
no, it can get pretty hot in Maine in the summer.
Okay.
Like, it's on the average cooler than it would be, like, down in Philadelphia or, like, down in the South, but only by a few degrees, especially now with global warming.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have that then.
Like, yeah, it can get pretty warm in the summer. It's not, like, cold.
They probably should have set this in, like, 1992, 93, because they're going to do they're apparently going to do Chapter 2, and if they do it 27 years from 1989, that's 2016. They could have set it in the year it's going to be released. So
yeah, but sometimes things don't work out that way.
Yeah, it's just like, it's going to be a period piece.
From a year ago.
Yeah. But
remember when Trump wasn't president?
It'll come out in like 2 years' time, set in 3, so it'll be 3 years past.
Yeah, but then we'll be all nostalgic for like when it wasn't an apocalypse.
Well, that's true.
But no, I thought it was really well done. I thought some of the bits were generally frightening, very scary. But then I do like that the more psychological horror. Like, once you put a face on it, and I'm like, well, okay.
Well, the clown isn't his actual appearance.
Yeah, I know, but, like, if he didn't talk, I think I would have been better with it.
In the TV version, he changed his appearance a bit. Well, they didn't actually explain it very well, but he turned into... in this version and in the TV version, they have the bit where he turns into their fears. They've changed the fears. In the original version, you had... one of them was a mummy, another one was a dog, but the dog is one of the funniest things in the world because he's faced with Pennywise, and then suddenly he's faced with a Doberman in Pennywise's place, wearing Pennywise's costume, leaping at him, and it looks so funny.
Look at that dog, he's dressed like a clown.
Yeah.
I like that the one kid's fear was like a really horrific painting in his father's study.
That was a badass painting, I want that.
Because, like, my grandfather had this, it was like a 3D media thing, but it was, I had glass, but it was like this kind of, it was like this thick, so there was like media, and it was like these faces going, oh, and there was like baby's breath, like the dried flour coming out of their mouths, and their eyes were like these glassy marbles, and allegedly it was about the Holocaust, I don't know, but it always scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid, and I would burst into tears when I was a little toddler. I hated being in the same room as it. But my father thinks it's high art. He thinks it's the most awesome thing.
Does he have it now?
Well, no, he had it for a bit because when my grandfather died, my Uncle Arthur had it. And Dad's like, oh, I want that. And Arthur was like, yeah, sure, Harvey, you can have it. And it was down in the basement, and I hated it, and we wouldn't let him hang him up, and finally he gave it back to my uncle.
I think it sounds awesome.
I guess he could probably, just have it, now that they have their children living with them. But, no, it's just horrific. And I was thinking about that all when, the boy was...
I wasn't a big fan of the art direction in some regards.
Like, what do you mean?
Pennywise's design...
I think your next target design should be like that.
Actually, the cheap review, my makeup was like that.
Oh, okay.
Not deliberately, it just turned out like that. Pennywise's design is like Annabelle. It's like the Annabelle problem. It's an obvious evil horror movie clown. Pennywise is meant to be an average-looking clown to convince small children to come with him to him so he can get them. His first attack is to convince them. That's what he did on Georgie. And then he turns into a monster clown when he gets them. He only turns into full-on monster clown when he's killing them or when he's threatening them. In this one, he's clearly evil from the get-go.
Yes, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about that. We were talking about this walking home. And I was like, at this point, I said, quite loudly, because some of my coworkers turned around because they were walking in front of us, because of, culture, pop culture and everything, every clown is a murder clown now. You're not going to have a ubiquitous, innocent-looking clown, so if that's not even a concern, just gloss over it.
You can have an innocent-looking clown.
I don't think you can. We don't trust clowns anymore.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between a regular-looking clown, which could be an evil clown, Pogo the Clown's a good example there. It's different from an obvious horror movie clown who's clearly been designed to be scary at a glance. He's over-designed. Annabelle, by comparison to Annabelle in the movies is this really horrible-looking porcelain doll designed to be scary at a glance. And when the actual Annabelle doll from the real stories is a Raggedy Ann doll, and Raggedy Ann dolls are much more viscerally terrifying than a porcelain crappy doll because...
I don't think so. My sister had a Raggedy Ann doll and a Raggedy Andy.
Because the Annabelle doll is just it's
It
trying
looks like
too hard. Yeah, the Annabelle and this design of Pennywise are trying too hard. The original Annabelle design and Tim Curry's one are far more effective, I feel, design-wise.
Fair enough. There was an Easter egg where there was a room full of clowns at one point. And she's like, look, it's Tim Curry's clown.
Yep, he's got the red hair. Another element, the giant monster house, because in the TV version, they went...
Look, what house do you mean? Oh, the big, obvious murder house?
In the TV version, if I remember correctly, they just went into the sewers and they found the lair there. In this one, they got this big house, and it looks like the fucking Addams Family house.
It does. It looks like well, we were talking about this, and I said I can see it if you take the cinematography and the cinematic direction intends everything to be from a child's perspective, which would make sense that the kids who are only 3 years older than them seem like they're in their 20s, because that's how older kids look to you. And so I would posit, actually, my theory is that the murder house does not actually look like that, But what they are seeing is every child's idea of a haunted house.
I bet if you talk to the director, he'd be like, "Oh, aye,
Yeah,
that was
totally
deliberate."
did that there, right there. But yeah, I felt like some characters probably had a larger part to play in the book, like the farm kid.
The
The homeschooled farm kid.
Yeah, in the TV version, I don't recall them state, all the character stuff with him and cows, and so I don't remember any of that. I just remember
sheep.
him. Sorry, yes, sheep. Sorry, what the fuck?
You come from an island that like is a farm.
Cows and sheep are the same.
No,
thing.
they're not.
I don't remember all that sort of character stuff. He just sort of he arrives
there?
later on.
Oh.
He joins up with them later on.
Well, I liked his actor, and I wish he'd got more parts. I liked the wee fat kid. I hope good things come to him.
Well, in the TV version, spoiler, he survived.
Well, I mean, they all survived the end of the movie.
Yeah, I'm saying in the TV, he survives the full
second.
thing.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Because if I remember correctly, like 2 of them die in the second half. But don't worry, it's 2 of the crapper ones.
Yeah, see, like I feel that the book had more to explore of like each of their background histories. Like, with the Jewish kid, like you can tell that there's issues with his dad because his dad's kind of slagging him off. He's getting ready for his bar mitzvah. His dad's like, yeah, you're gonna shame me, the son of a rabbi, and you can't even do it right. And so I'm like, ooh, what unexplored issues are there here? Oh, we'll never find out.
See, I don't remember that sort of issues coming up in the TV version.
But what I'm saying is, no, there's probably a lot more in the book because you know how in-depth Stephen King goes into everything.
That's true.
And like how you never see his mother again after that first scene where she's playing the piano. Bobby's, Bill, whatever, main character's mother.
Whenever, after we're finished here, I'm going to actually do some looking up online because I want to see what exactly they've come up with for the film compared to what was come up with for the TV compared to what was actually in the novel.
Oh, that would be a good one for What's the Face? What's the difference?
Yeah, that'll probably happen at some point.
That'll be like a triple one. Book versus TV versus movie.
In the TV version, the relationship with the hypochondriac guy and his mother she was a lot more vicious, he was a lot more pathetic.
Yeah, like, that was kind of like a really easy character crisis. He's like, you've been giving me placebos. Oh, I did it to protect you. Fuck you, I hate you. No, come back here. I was like, what? That was just kind of like, this is time for my character arc to be over, Mom. Oh, okay. Like, I was unfulfilled. Like, I mean, maybe I'll look at the wiki and see what the crack is actually with them, but...
And
it seemed very, like, shoehorned in. Like, I know it predates Repo, but very much like Repo. Like, I had to protect you from the world by making you think you were sick.
And at the end of this one, they seem to be taking elements from the end of the second one, second half of it, the adult part, and sticking them in here. Like, they've got Henry being under the influence of Pennywise. They've got,
Bethany? No, Beverly.
Beverly getting sort of deadlights, and then she's sort of like catatonic and stuff, which I don't think happened in the TV version. I think that happened at the end of the second one with main guy's wife or girlfriend who sort of comes to Derry after him, and she gets got, and then they have to sort of save her from catatonia. They sort of mixed some bits from the end of the second part into into the end of the first one. So
did it come to Derry, like, or was it always there? Like, did it come there with the loggers, or was it just always?
It was there beforehand.
Okay.
It's been there longer than humanity's been existent.
Did it build the well? I'm guessing they built the well.
It was just there, and then they built a well.
Hanging out.
He went to live in there.
Oh, how convenient for me.
Although there was a turtle in this one, but there was just a Lego turtle.
There's 2 mentions, no, because they were swimming in their quarry. Because, oh, look, I saw a turtle. And then, like, the fat kid dives down into the water. I thought he was going to go and, like, be like, I caught a turtle.
Yeah, because the turtle, this was so silly it wasn't even in the TV version. Its arch nemesis is a giant cosmic turtle.
It's a cosmic turtle?
Yeah, it's like they're both Lovecraftian eldritch sort of...
I thought it was like a regular turtle that had enough of your shit.
They're like old one power level things, but it's a spider and...
It's Atuan, the world turtle.
Might be.
From Pratchett. Or what was the name of the turtle from Neverending Story?
Begins with an M.
Yeah. Morgoth? No. If you don't write the show. But,
Very nice sneeze in the swamps of sadness.
But yeah, so what was that? Don't skinny dip in your underpants. It was really, really good, very well shot, very nostalgic. I was like, I remember that thing. I've consumed that product. I know that band song. Yay.
The Henry Bowers has 3 middle trained minions. One of them seems to be like who I assume was Henry actually because they had black hair, but he gets killed first.
And then, he does look like he's 25. He really does.
And then his other 2 surviving minions. One appears to be Draco Malfoy, and the other one appears to be Larry Bagby from Hocus Pocus. Larry Bagby.
We are bully characters.
Larry Bagby, I'm sure you remember, played Ice with the thing in the back of the head in Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, the greatest kids film of the early 90s.
Never seen it.
Never seen Hocus Pocus?
No, because my sister would always like quote lines from it, and I just was turned off just on principle alone. Don't make a face at me.
If anyone wants to become a patron so I can force her to watch that would be really good, because she won't watch it unless you're actually forced.
No, because it was one of those ones I'm like, that looks kind of stupid, actually. You know what it looked like? It looked like Roald Dahl the Witches, but with, like, Bette Midler. And I like the Witches.
Not quite. Hocus Pocus is, I'm not actually using hyperbole, it is the best kids film of the early 90s.
No. Sorry.
But, yeah, she won't watch it unless a patron requests it for a backseat critique.
And maybe not even then, so don't pinch your bets. But yeah, so no, it was good. It was a full house, pretty much. We had to get our...
I had a seat beside me, because I'm too scared to sit beside. The Beverly's abusive dad...
That was kind of creepy.
If this was made in the mid-90s, that would have been the world's greatest role for Marc Alamo, a.k.a. Gul Dukat. I don't know why I got a serious Marc Alamo vibe off him.
He would look like someone who could play a pedophile, sir.
No, it's just the actor and his mannerisms. It's very Marc Alamo.
It's like how nobody actually had a normal relationship with their parents in this.
Well, yeah, part of the point of it is...
And only with their damaged children?
It can only be detected by children. It only hurts children unless it actually targets you out, like that's the point of the second part. But in the TV version, they went out that the adults, they know something's wrong, but willingly or unwillingly, they turn a blind eye to it. Mm. And so all of the adults who live in the town are compromised. So kind of like how Obfuscate works in Vampire the Masquerade. It's not on Vampire the Requiem too. It's not that you're actually invisible. It's you're actually going into someone's mind and, tricking them so they don't see you. Sort of. That's why that's why Auspex can break through it. Sort of. It's also like the You can't see me. I'm an Obfuscate. All adults in Derry, to some certain extent, are evil, because they would rather turn a blind eye, not entirely consciously, but still turn a blind eye to the bad things that happen. Mm. That's part of the point. That sucks. It does suck. Maybe that's why we only see his mum the one time when she's playing the piano. And that's why all the adults in the film are bastards to some degree or another. Well, no, because she doesn't have any lines. We just see her playing piano, so she could still be pure. That's why we don't ever see her again. Yeah, but no adults who have a character bit in the film. No. They're all bastards to some degree. Well, if they have a character thing, if their character is explored at all, you can see that to some degree they're a bastard. Well, that's pretty much the world, isn't it? We're all bastards. We're all bastards down here. There was a town festival or 4th of July or something, there was a marching band, and I'm like, look, it's just like real Derry. There's a marching band, and it's contentious. And I don't think in the original one they all floated. I loved how, at the end, Pennywise has been collecting all the children, and he's got this huge mountain of belongings that he's collected up, and they're all floating around. Now, I'm pretty sure... I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen in the book, and you'll float down here too. That was just something he said to George. Because that's like the famous lines I know. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was like George is like, oh, can I have a balloon? And he's like, oh, I have a balloon. Oh, does it float? It float. Oh, yes, it floats. And down here, you'll float too, and he grabs them. And that sort of turned into everyone floating. And by this one, they're all floating on this huge pile of rubbish, which is right underneath a skylight of some sort, or a grating. How the fuck did no one at any point look down and see?
Well, because if it was out far enough, like one of the outlet pipes was out in the woods, if it was out far enough, like in the middle of some field.
It was right next to the house.
No, because they went through all down in the sewers, and they trekked away.
I'm pretty sure it's still within the city part. But the more reasonable in-universe explanation is that if they looked down, they wouldn't have seen anything.
Well, yeah. But I wondered, what happens after the end of the movie, because there was, a sudden rash of fratricide with 2 dead dads.
Well, Beverly's dad is not dead.
Oh.
At least in the book he wasn't. She just punched him and left.
Yeah, but
so I doubt he's dead.
Implied that because she cracked him on the head with the top of the toilet system.
But if he's going to complain about it, then she'll complain about him sexually assaulting her.
That's a good point.
So I think
he might be dead though.
That's a let bygones be bygones type thing.
Let murdered people be murdered, and the police.
Henry just vanished. Kids always vanish there.
Yeah, with a dead father.
Yeah, he murdered his dad and he vanished.
Fair enough.
So, that's fair enough. Why is Henry working for it in that one? He's supposed to go to the insane asylum for the second one. Again, I've never read the novel, so please correct me. I'm just going by the TV version. Right at the end, it is sort of turning into various monsters while he's fighting off all the kids. Because in this one, they're not actually... Well, they do use faith to defeat him in little bits, but it's only sort of subtle rather than the really obvious 2x4 to the head that it was in the TV version. But... he's turning into different things while he's trying to fight them, and it would have been truly wonderful if he just turned briefly into what looked like Tim Curry's version, like get a different actor to play the part, sort of CGI him into looking like that one, and then dub on some of Tim Curry's lines from the original one, just even him laughing or something. That would have been a wonderful little Easter egg.
That's true, it would have been.
Or he'd turn into a mummy, turn into the dog, the different versions in the TV version or the book.
I'm glad that a cat didn't die. There was a scene where a cat almost got shot and we were sad.
Yeah. And there's a spectacular little visual effect where they stabilized the image, and Pennywise is moving. When they stabilize the image on his head, so his head is still and everything else is moving, and it looks pretty odd, but I thought that was a pretty cool image. It reminded me of the camera setup wherever you've got an actor actually wearing the camera like a Steadicam. It was used quite a lot I believe it was first used in Oliver Stone with Wall Street, where you letting an actor walk around and the camera's always on their face. So if the background's moving in a camera but the character's staying in the center, that's what they're using. And this one's reminded me of a souped up crazy version of that.
Maybe in the director's commentary I'll see how they did the shot.
And I did like the use of CGI to make Pennywise eyes sort of go weird on occasion. It was pretty nifty. Yeah,
and that was the thing that made the little kid first know that there was something wrong in the beginning, and I was like, yes, because evolutionarily speaking, a neurotypical child, when seeing something wrong with someone's eyes, will start to become unnerved.
And the Pennywise drooling was a nice bit too.
Buck teeth thing was weird. But yeah, so that's what we thought, and then we walked home. We were invited out for a drink, but we were tired, so...
We said to do a Backseat Critique instead.
Just for you. And all that 20 pence of our revenue.
20 pence if you're lucky.
Pretty much. So yeah, go see it. If you think you might enjoy it, you probably will. If you think you'll be frightened, you probably will. We got to see it first.
If you think Omega should be forced to watch Hocus Pocus, become a patron. Backseat Critique.
You have to be a big patron, like hundreds of dollars.
No, it has to be 20 or 25.
No,
20,
doesn't.
I think.
We have to do it for a long time, though. We can't just do it once. That's the rules. Hey, I don't make the rules,
You don't even know the rules.
That's probably true as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.